In today's video, we're going to talk about Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. So it's officially been out over 1 week now. So was it overhyped? Did this YouTube channel overhype it? Did I sell you a story that didn't happen? No. I basically told you exactly what was going to happen word for word. So let's break it down. Yo, what is good, YouTube? Wish you if you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Kaiju, MonsterVerse, Marvel, DC, pop culture based content I try to deliver on a daily basis. Could subscribe to channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. Did we overhype this movie? Was this movie overhyped? Did it underperform? Did it meet your expectations? So if you could follow us on Twitter, WarstuG. Also, if you could follow us on Instagram.com/Warstu, that will be much appreciated. Yo. So let's break it down. So this movie's actually done really well from a critic standpoint. Yeah, the critics did bash it, but it's still got over 54% on Rotten Tomato, which is pretty good for a MonsterVerse movie. And also and that's based on 214 reviews. It's got 92% on audience score, which is pretty good. I know people don't really like Rotten Tomato, but it is a good metric of what the audience's overall thought. And it's also made over $200 million in just over a week, which is fantastic for a Kaiju MonsterVerse movie. This data is coming courtesy of Watch Mojo's box office, and at the moment I believe this is going up to only Friday, so this does not have Saturday's numbers in. I don't believe $226 million, which is pretty fantastic. The alleged budget is $135 million. I don't believe that. I think it's after tax breaks, so this movie will break even because people are still going to watch it. But a massive misdirection, I feel, from this movie was not actually the movie itself. It was an interview that came out, and they really oversold us on Titanius Doug. Now, Doug was a fan favorite from Godzilla vs Kong. They stuck Doug in this movie to steal Kong's food, and that was it. Doug has been dubbed as one of the strongest creatures in the whole of Hollow Earth, the whole of the MonsterVerse, but I'm yet to see the receipts. I'm yet to see the evidence, and he ate something back in 2021's movie Godzilla vs Kong. But there's some people that think Doug, if you put Doug actually into YouTube and you see how crazy the views are for people showing Doug off. Doug stole Kong's food. Doug is supposed to be one of the strongest kaijus ever. And there's even some people saying, no, I'm not saying I said this first because clearly I didn't, but if you go back to the sequence in the movie where there is some massive skeleton work for some super titan, fellow YouTuber MindQ did a video on it titled Size of this Super Titan in Godzilla X Kong, a full design explained. I mean, if you watch this channel, you probably watch MindQ, very good YouTuber, breaks down a lot of cool stuff. But essentially, a lot of people are saying that whatever this Titan skeleton was had to be so freaking big, like 1,000 feet, because it made Suku and Kong look like nothing. But I mean, I get sent a lot of stuff, but there are some people saying, yo, maybe that's Doug full size. But I'm just saying, we need more freaking Doug. We really do. So it's worth saying that a lot of people are a bit hyperbolic when it comes to their reaction for this movie. So in order to get your name or your brand into a trailer, you have to come out with some bombastic stuff like atomic blast greatness and stuff like that. And I mean, personally, I'm not calling anyone out when I say this, but I find it very disingenuous, because when you use massive words like this to get your name in a trailer, for example, there's one that says is an atomic blast, and then it's like gotten into a trailer once a movie's coming out. It's what I call Twitter baiting, when you say something massively on your reaction. If you go to like a media screener, a press screener before the NDA releases, before the review embargo, and usually people say stuff like, yo, go and see this at the biggest screen possible, and they come with some outlandish statement. I mean, sure, there is an atomic blast in the movie, but I just find it fascinating how studios pick and choose who they use in their trailers and stuff. So generally the comments for this movie, when I go through my like YouTube comment section, generally it's pretty good. Like, a lot of people generally like the movie if you can get past the exposition problem, if you can get past the scaling problem. But most people realize these movies are generally made for younger people. They're generally made for children, really. But it was pretty fun to see what people were saying. And there are some criticisms for this movie. Generally, it's how Godzilla was used and how Kong was used, but Kong was in the movie the most, to be honest. And it's pretty wild because it's obviously a kaiju MonsterVerse movie, and you really shouldn't make these movies that serious, but it's also interesting at the same time when Adam Wingard's like, yeah, I want to do a more serious movie. Let's bring Destoroyah in. Destoroyah can be the Thanos. Now that Kong has the Infinity Gauntlet, we need to bring Thanos of the MonsterVerse. Is Destoroyah the Thanos of the MonsterVerse? I don't know. He could be, to be honest. But it is fascinating because Adam Wingard's like literally like, yo, baby Godzilla, yo, Destoroyah. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get either or of them. But I am pretty happy as a MonsterVerse. Okay, I'm not a MonsterVerse YouTuber, but I've covered a lot of MonsterVerse stuff. But it is cool that a lot of people did appreciate the movie. A lot of people can get past the scaling issues and the composition issue. And a lot of people's criticism were there was realistically no human side story. And I've spoken to a lot of people in real life who I talk to about movies that don't watch any of these kind of videos. And they basically said the human part of the story sucked. But they also said that they don't watch these movies for the human side of the story. It's kind of like when you go watch a Transformers movie. You just want to see the Transformers beat each other up. Let's be honest. That's realistically what you watch these movies for. So regardless to if the next movie gets greenlit soon or if it doesn't, I think it'd be very interesting to see what happens with the human side of the story, because if they're going to bring Godzilla through like they did with Kong in the last movie, Kong will have to team up with Godzilla in some capacity. Be interesting to see what they actually do with Godzilla. Now, we know Godzilla ended the movie going to sleep in the Colosseum because it reminds him of some variants of a temple that maybe one day he used to rest in. But it is interesting. And I do read all the comments on the YouTube videos, but I can't always comment back. But a common theme is, let's wait and see till a licensing between Toho and Legendary for more Toho kaiju. Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, because there was the problem where it's interesting because if you go back to the original test screener, the information was 80 with 90% true. And yeah, originally, I mean, the directors come out and said Mothra was always the plan, but they didn't know if they were going to get Mothra, so they put Phosphor in there. And it tested really badly to the point where people were going, yeah, why don't you just have Mothra there? And apparently it's really hard to get Mothra into the movie, which is, it's kind of surprising seeing as Mothra's appeared in King of the Monsters previously. But if they can't use these other titans like Gargant or Biolitone or Destoroyah or Space G, then they just make their own version, just like they did with Shimo. Shimo was literally written into the story because they didn't want to use Space Godzilla. And yeah, I would keep saying that. Come at me in the comment section. So overall, I think it's legit that I get comments like this. Warstu legit danced around the fact that he was wrong about Space Godzilla, but I wasn't. I really wasn't. They made their own Space Godzilla. So yeah, there's lots of cool titans they could use. Is Destoroyah and Space Godzilla a bit too generic? Fans want them kind of characters. I mean, you could even bring back Mecha Godzilla if you wanted to, or bring back Mecha Ghidorah. Because if they are going to destroy all monsters eventually one day, you would want them to have a version of Ghidorah, a version of Mecha Godzilla, a version of Space Godzilla. And there's so many other kaiju titans they could realistically use. So I think it's definitely going to get greenlit for another movie for sure. It's just a case of when, not really if, because I mean, if you go to any reviews for said movie, whether it be Rotten Tomato, whether it be IMDb, once you get past the over-the-top scaling and composition and there's no human-sided story, most people generally like this movie. And it's now, I believe, made more money in the United States domestically because for some reason studios care about domestically, but if you don't live in America, why would you? It's made more money than King of the Monsters made in America, which is pretty cool. And it's only been out over a week. I mean, the IMDb score is pretty low, 6.6 out of 10, but generally means people liked it. And if you look at the percentages, nearly just under 20% gave it a 10, so that's quite high. 23% gave it a 7, that's quite high. So overall, it does appear that a lot of people liked it, but was it overhyped? I don't think it was overhyped. I don't really think there was much hype, because you got to understand, I've been covering this kind of content for a very long time. Godzilla vs Kong back in 2021, hype was 10 times higher. You could just tell by the YouTube views and stuff like that that the hype for that movie was way higher. Now, I'm not necessarily not saying that it wasn't any hype for this movie, but I don't think there was enough hype for this movie. So when we get another movie, your boy War Drizzy and all the other kaiju YouTube channels will be hyping these movies up again, because if people go watch them, then you need people to hype them. So don't worry, it won't be too long until we get some official news about another movie. I hope Adam Wingard keeps saying some stuff. So I just wanted to go over a few things about, did it live up to the expectation of the viewers? And I believe it did, because if you followed all the trailers and stuff, the synopsis, the interviews before the movie came out, it basically delivered the movie they said it would. It was essentially a team-up movie. Sure, Godzilla could have bodied Scar King and Shimo himself, because he could have just broken the crystal himself. But yeah, Kong did have a part to play for sure. And so did little Suku breaking the crystal. Let's hope we get Destoroyah and Godzilla Jr. in the next movie. And I'd prefer Space Godzilla, but let's just see what happens. So yeah, the MonsterVerse content will be slowing down as of after this video for sure, because there isn't much more to say when it comes to the MonsterVerse stuff for now, sadly. But like I say, we've always predominantly been a Marvel DC Kaiju channel recently, but we cover a lot of good stuff. So hopefully a lot of you stick around for the Deadpool 3 content and the Superman content and other stuff like that when we venture out of the MonsterVerse stuff as frequent, because we can't keep making stuff about the MonsterVerse unless there's ideas and stuff to make videos about. So if you do have any video ideas or videos you want me to go over down below, just let me know down below. And thank you very much for all the love and support on the Kaiju MonsterVerse stuff over the last 6 months or so. Appreciate it. If you want to become a channel member for less than 9p, less than $1, I appreciate that more, or just as much. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face, and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully one day we'll hit 200,000 subscribers. So like always, guys, I'll catch ya in another video very soon. Catch ya later.